Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Emanuel Green, Green Bay Packers all-time leader in rushing, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. A little breaking news here on March the 4th in the afternoon, as we've got some free agency news shaking loose for the Green Bay Packers. They bring back one of their own, and that is Chris Brooks, set to hit free agency here a little later this month, actually next week. Obviously, I think an unsung hero on this team, a guy who's been a very, very solid football player for the Packers for the last 2 years, great in pass pro, everything in between, just a good, solid running back, a backup at that position. Obviously, you're set to lose Emanuel Wilson. We broke the news of where he on social media, I think it was on IG Live, where he said, man, I'm going to miss Green Bay. So he's pretty much made up his mind. It sounds like much like Quay Walker, who's made some changes to his social media. Those guys are moving on. So you start to look at the running back room, obviously with Emanuel Wilson not being in Green Bay any longer, most likely. All right, what's this running back room going to look like? Can you trust Rashan Lloyd to stay healthy, right? Also, is Rashan Lloyd a solid pass pro guy, right? Can he pass block for Jordan Love on those key third downs? Josh Jacobs, what's his workload going to look like? I think this is huge that you bring back someone like Chris Brooks, right? Rob Domofsky had the tweet that went out. The Packers have brought back one of their backup running backs who was going to be a restricted free agent. You guys know going into the offseason, I said, if you see anybody who's restricted free agent or exclusive rights free agent, just understand if the Packers want them back, they can get them back on a sweetheart deal, right? And that's exactly what happens here. One West Sports Group, which I think is Chris Brooks' sports agency, so his agent tweeted it out. You know, it's a valid source. Running back Chris Brooks and the Packers have agreed to terms on a 2-year deal worth $4.8 million. So obviously this is going to average out to about $2.4 million per year, depending on the structure of the contract. You can get out of it at any point. Notice they didn't mention the guaranteed money. If there was significant guaranteed money, if it was fully guaranteed, they would have mentioned that in the tweet, being the agency, obviously. So obviously this is something that the Packers could get out from under if they want to. I don't know why you would, though. Chris Brooks, like I said, I think he's been a key role player for the Green Bay Packers the last 2 years. Matt LaFleur loves this guy. He's a guy who had great yards after contact in Miami when we picked him up off the scrap heap. I think it was like five yards after contact on average. It was something crazy like that, right? Now, obviously, that's dipped in Green Bay the last 2 years. We've talked about how the run blocking has been, less than stellar, I guess you could say. Hopefully we can get that straightened out sooner rather than later. But again, I think Chris Brooks is a solid running back, a good backup here, and someone that you know is going to stay healthy. He's good in pass pro. He's going to protect the football. He can catch the ball out of the backfield, all those things we talk about, right? He's actually sneaky fast too. People think of him just as a power back. You always see him run with the rock, covering it with two hands. It's a good thing, don't get me wrong. But you think, he's more of a power back, more of a control back. He actually damn near hit 21 miles per hour last year toting the rock. So let's see it where he ranks according to PFF. They have Chris Brooks as the 51st highest graded running back in the NFL with a 69.5. Of course, you see the 86.8. I think that's the pass blocking grade, if I remember correctly. So obviously really, really good at pass blocking. He actually graded out significantly higher than Emanuel Wilson, who I want to say was around 64, 63, something like that. So Chris Brooks considered a solid number 2 running back in the National Football League, according to PFF. Obviously, there's 32 teams. Times that by 2, you got 64. Anything 64 or lower or higher on this list, I should say, it basically justifies that being a backup caliber running back, someone who is a solid number 2. He's right there in the middle at 51. So really nice grade there for him. Now, when you look at his overall PFF grades throughout his career in Miami, granted only 31 snaps, but scored an 82.0. PFF's always been high on him. Green Bay goes out and grabs him last year, 66.8, solid grade for a backup running back. In 2025, he actually jumped to a 69.6, and that was actually a run blocking grade. Let me point that out real quick too. Matt LaFleur and his coaching staff, they like to run those pony packages, right? You'll notice from time to time, they will throw either 2 running backs and a double sidecar out of the gun, or they'll put Jaden Reed back there and put a running back out of the other sidecar. Most of the time it's Josh Jacobs, but they'll put Chris Brooks in there. When Chris Brooks is in there, it's a little bit little bit easy to predict what they're going to do because Chris Brooks is such an effective run blocker that typically he's going to be the lead block. So what will happen is if you come out in that pony package, and let's say you've got a tight end side, lined up on the right, like a Y right look pony package, and let's just call it a 831 pony package, which means Josh Jacobs is on the left, Chris Brooks is on the right. Sometimes what you'll do is you'll have him sift block over. So when they run that spinner look, they snap the ball, and Jordan Love may fake it to him and then turn around in the opposite direction. Fake it to him right, turn around, give it to Josh Jacobs. What happens? You get the Y who's just blocking straight down, right? And then you'll have Chris Brooks on the fake give will go ahead and complete what we call a sift block. He'll go across, and it'll cause a little bit of a split flow look. What this does, guys, and the reason that Matt LaFleur's offense tries to bake this in, same thing with like a Y sift on a split flow, split zone run. You're getting eye candy from the tight end coming across the formation. They think he's lead blocking. The backers will bite that way. Next thing you know, it's split flow. What it means by split flow is you are splitting the flow of the zone blocking run, okay? So you've got the tight end who's coming across, the backers key in on that, they bite that way, and the offensive line is flowing in the opposite direction, hence split flow, split zone. The same thing happens when you've got Chris Brooks in that sidecar. Yes, you can give it to him, but also as you fake the handoff, they may key in on him, and when they realize he doesn't have the ball, he's acting as the sift. You gain a hat with the Y blocking straight down on a normal blocking scheme. You got Josh Jacobs out the opposite side and vice versa. Sometimes you'll let Jacobs do that and maybe give it to Brooks. So that's what he does well in the offense specifically. Also, when you look at the running back room and how they graded out last year, this is what we were talking about. Josh Jacobs, 86.1 PFF grade. Chris Brooks, 69.6. Emanuel Wilson, 64.0. Notice the run blocking when they put Emanuel Wilson in a pony package. Not so good, right? 31.6. That's something that Chris Brooks does really well. If there's anybody other than a tight end that you would consider an H-back on this Green Bay Packers team, it is Chris Brooks, hands down, okay? So now when you look at it from a next-gen stats standpoint over at NFL IQ, the new site that's been launched, you've got Josh Jacobs as the number one back. Marshawn Lloyd will most likely be your number two as long as he's healthy. Pierre Strong is also involved. Damian Martinez, who you guys know I'm very excited about. We had him in the top 110 prospects in last year's draft board. Keep an eye on him out of the University of Miami. I think he can provide some good depth. Obviously, what you're going to do is put Chris Brooks in maybe ahead of Marshawn Lloyd, depending on how healthy he is. Definitely ahead of Pierre Strong and Damian Martinez. I'm feeling really good about this running back room. It sucks to lose Emanuel Wilson. Had a down year, but I think everybody can say that the majority of his problems, I don't think it was he changed the way he ran. He wasn't as effective. I think it was more about the run blocking and the lack thereof. Now, Josh Jacobs, it didn't affect as much, obviously, but something to kind of keep an eye on there as we try to shift in and improve that running game moving forward. So really excited about the running back room. Now, when you look at the available free agents at the running back position, I scrolled down just a touch. So Chris Brooks was almost on the top page when it comes to the top free agents available, and we sorted by top speed. So Chris Brooks is right there towards the top. You can see, there was like 5 or 6 running backs that cracked the 21 mile per hour mark. Chris Brooks actually came in at 20.4 miles per hour. So sneaky quick, sneaky fast, right? He's not just a power back. He's not just someone who can run block, pass block, catch the ball in the backfield, protect the football. I don't think he's ever fumbled. I could be wrong there. I don't ever recall him losing control of the football. But Chris Brooks is one of those guys that, again, averaging 11.7 snaps per game, used a little more often than I think people probably realized he was. He played in all 17 games last year, okay, according to this. So, again, that's just a quick look at Chris Brooks. The Packers have him under contract for the next 2 years on what might as well be a minimum contract, right? Let's shift focus now to some other rumors that are going on. Easton Butler, friend of the program, a great – I consider him a Packers insider, to be honest with you. Maybe he doesn't consider himself that. He has such valuable information that he gets leaked out, obviously being right there in Green Bay. He says, free agent leak. The Packers were reportedly in contact with kicker Brandon Aubrey's reps, per source. Aubrey is expected to command the largest deal for a kicker in NFL history, and with his reps also at the Combine, he could be kicking somewhere other than Jerry's World in 2026. So is there a chance that Brandon Aubrey ends up kicking for another team in the NFL? If so, the Packers have at least shown some interest in that per Easton Butler. So keep an eye on Brandon Aubrey and see exactly where he's going to play coming up this season. Some other stuff that broke here. This is really strange. Jacob Westendorf tweeted this out. You got to love this time of year, right? Everything is read between the lines. What does this tweet mean? What does that Instagram post mean? We talked about Quay Walker scrubbed all of his IG of anything Green Bay Packers related, which makes you think, okay, that bridge has already been burned. He's moving on. He's not coming back to Green Bay, even if the money makes sense. It seems like that on the surface. Well, Jacob Westendorf tweeted this out. Rashan Gary IG story. He said, take it for what it's worth. All it is a Green Bay Packer hoodie laying on the pavement. I seen it and I originally thought, man, is he like saying the hell with this team and throwing the hoodie on the ground? But then you look closer, it is absolutely drenched in sweat. So obviously he's been working out. I think this is most likely just Rashan Gary. Hey, we're out here putting in that work. Common Instagram post this time of year, obviously, as you got guys working out. Some of the receivers will get together, work out together. They'll post videos on their social media. I don't think there's anything extra to this, but I'm curious to know what everybody thinks in the comments. Do you think this is Gary signaling he might be on his way out of Green Bay? I think many fans will be happy with that. I don't know if it's the majority. I think the majority of fans would like to have him back at the right price, but definitely not at the current cap hit that he's set to get here this coming year. I think the money you can free up if you move on from Rashan Gary, just cutting him outright, is $11 million this year in cap space. However, if you go post-June 1, $19.5 million is what you can free up this calendar year. So keep an eye on Rashan Gary's status. And then there was some NFL news that broke as well we'll hit on real quick. Major blockbuster trade here. And Tom Pelissero and the guys broke it over at NFL Network. I think Ian Rappaport was in on it. Adam Schefter had a tweet as well. So Trent McDuffie has been traded from the Chiefs to the LA Rams. All right. As always, the Rams are saying F them picks. They're pushing all the chips into the middle of the table and saying we're wanting to win right now. Listen, it's a team that's once won a Super Bowl, right? You got Sean McVay, who's had a lot of success. He was the youngest coach in NFL history to make it to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl, if I remember correctly. How did he do that? There was Packer fans saying, oh, this is a stupid move, trading their picks and getting all these veterans. They're doing it once again. It got them a ring. We were criticizing them, and here we sit. We haven't gotten a ring since then. We go out there with the youngest roster every single year. Is this the way to operate? They gave up a lot for him, but Trent McDuffie, obviously a solid cornerback for the Kansas City Chiefs. They are trading him to the Rams. Here's what the Chiefs are getting in return. The 29th overall pick, first-round pick, right? The 5th-round pick this year, a 6th-round pick this year, and then a 3rd-round pick next year. The Rams get Trent McDuffie. Seems like a lot to give up for one player, especially a player that I wouldn't consider elite. I think he's a great football player. You are willing to overpay for great. I don't see cornerback as that important of a position. However, let's see how this shakes out for the Rams. One thing you cannot deny is the LA Rams are all in on trying to win a championship. I've got to be honest, a little bit jealous. We went and got Micah Parsons, and you could say that's an all-in move. I get it. You still ended up fielding the youngest roster in the league. It's hard for me to buy that whole we're all in right now. Let's hope Gutey makes a move soon here. But again, I think it's great news that we bring back Chris Brooks. Kudos to Gutey for that. I think that's a solid re-signing. And now the question becomes, do you really go after Brandon Aubrey? I don't know, man. We'll see. Is Rashan Gary coming back? All these things we just covered. Let me know in the comments. How do you guys feel about those topics? Do you think Gary's gone? Do you think Brandon Aubrey is actually on the table, or will Jerry try to lock him up somehow, some way, and keep arguably the best kicker in the league in the Big D? Hit us up in the comments. Let us know what you think. Hit that like button, hit subscribe, click the bell icon so you catch all these live breaking news segments as we get deeper into the free agency segment of the offseason. We'll be back later today as news breaks. My name's Clayton. This is PTA. Go Pack Go.
Here we go.
We're out. Bye, guys.